Here at Everyday Driver, we're big fans of the E90 series BMW M3. However, there are two other cars that claim to be even better driver's cars than the M3.
One is the Mustang Boss 302, and the other is BMW's own 1M.
We wondered if either car might be a better choice. I feel like the M3 is just that much more of a usable car. It is so close, so close. If you're getting a Mustang, it has to be a Boss 302, period.
Now this can't hope to compete with an M3 in refinement, that's not what it's about. But here is a muscle car platform that gives you all the muscle car angry attitude, and yet succeeds in competing with the M3 of all things. This is our new friend, the BMW 1M, a black one, which I've never seen before, and I like it black. Only made for 1 year, 2012, so every one of these you might buy is a used car.
BMW caved to the consumer demand for this car worldwide, and they actually built almost 3 times as many cars as they were planning on.
This is more than a comparison to the M3. This kind of is an M3, just in different packaging. It has the M3 suspension, it has M3 brakes, it has M3 steering.
So then you take the N54 engine, the inline twin turbo motor that makes more torque than the M3 V8, and you stuff it into this little package.
It's 4 inches shorter in wheelbase and 300 pounds lighter.
This is BMW's way of building a hot rod. Would I rather have this car over the M3? Well, so far for the driving dynamics, it's pretty amazing.
Now, the boost does really come on about 3,000 RPMs, but you can trundle along in traffic and it's got plenty of power. Then when you put your foot in it all the way, it leaps, kind of like you frightened an animal. It just lunges forward.
Okay, so the M button is pushed, the throttle response is even sharper. And we're going 90. All of a sudden.
The clutch is light, the gearbox is easy, and yet it just fires away when you put your foot to the floor.
This engine just wants you to beat the hell out of it. So I shall. This car is quick. Whew. And the brakes are stunning.
This has a bit of a mad scientist feel about it. I mean, you can sense that you put the running gear from a longer, faster car into a smaller one.
This car feels like it's fresh out of prison, ready to kick your ass and rob a bank. When you've got a hot rod of a car, of course you have to tweak it. And the Bavarians must have been drinking very heavily when they did. The bulging fender flares look like the 1 Series had a very well-executed, expensive boob job. But it had to be done to cover those giant wheels and tires. And strangely, I find the overall look to be the right combination of styling that shouts performance.
I kind of feel like it's a bulldog. It's aggressive and muscular and purposeful, but I can't call it pretty. The interior on the 1M, it's not fancy, but it's not Spartan, and they've actually made it look like a more special version of the one by putting in this Alcantara and the contrast red stitching. And of course, plenty of M badges in case you forgot what you're in.
The very upright seating position is that strange combination of economy cabin and monster performance. That same phenomenon Mitsubishi Evos and Subaru STIs share. But you're definitely sitting on this car, not down in it.
The seats here aren't as aggressive as the Boss 302. But BMW knows how to make a good performance seat and still make it feel luxurious. And these are no exception. The pedals are incredibly light, the shifter's very simple to use, but it isn't as exact as the Boss, and the throws are surprisingly long.
If you want a car that's going to really, quite honestly, do everything really well, I can't imagine looking further than the M3. Because you can actually take 4 people in this car, and it's such a brilliant driver's car too.
BMW M3 is one of those rare cars we both gave 4 stars. That's not very common. Clearly, we like this car.
Now, of the 3 cars that we're driving today, the other 2 are lighter. If you can believe that, the BMW M3 is the heaviest of the bunch.
Everything about the 1M just feels twitchy, and I mean that in a great way, like an athlete who's just kind of raring to go. It's very light on its feet. The steering rack is amazing, just like it is in the M3, because of course it's the exact same one.
This tracks better than some, if not most, mid-engine cars I've driven. This car is that good. It almost feels mid-engine because of the way it plants itself through corners. Of the 3, this is the most nimble.
Oh. This steering and balance is fantastic. It really, really wants you to get the back out, but yet it's very controllable. It really gives this car a frenetic sense that the M3 lacks. The M3 feels civilized compared to this car, even in an aggressive setting.
This is the car you're going to want to take every single one of your friends for a ride and then scare the hell out of them. You're going to want to just jam through every corner you go through.
It rotates so easily, it makes the M3 feel big. You just feel connected to the tiniest little weight shift.
How can you not just giggle every time you drive this car?
You know, sometimes we describe cars as having character, and it's difficult to define what that means. But often that just means the car's quirky. And in the case of the 1M, it has a whole lot more character than its bigger brother.
Pick your amusement park, and I guarantee you this car is better.
The M3 is like the successful older brother, which makes this the angry, trying to prove himself younger brother. Kind of the kid who wants to get in fights. Now, of course, it's not as usable as the M3. You can't get the good dual clutch gearbox. You can't really get your family in the back. I mean, this is just kind of buying a 2-seat enthusiast car, and of course, that's the point. The problem also is the fact that you better bring a bag of money to get one because everybody knows they're good and there's not very many around.
Would I take this car over the M3? Well, wow, this is so much fun to drive. It's even that much sharper than the M3. I'm just wondering if you'd need a second car. Just something that isn't quite so balls on fire around every corner.
I mean, the M3 is a fantastic car. There's no getting around it. And yet this is just a lot looser and a lot more fun. Oh, how we love the M3.
Oh, these cars are so aimed at the M3.
Well, it is the benchmark, and rightfully so.
I love these cars for what they do, the different personalities they bring. I love that.
Shockingly different cars here. But that's the question. Would you take either of these 2 cars over an M3?
You just said rightfully so. That's where it stays for me.
Really?
It's amazing.
Still the king for you.
And yet so close.
Yeah, true.
So
true,
close
true.
in.
Oh, I'm giving all 3 4-stars.
Yeah. 4-star cars. 3 4-star cars sitting here.
So give me a 1, 2, 3.
Such a close. M3, 1M. Not a whisker behind is the Boss 302.
Interesting, interesting. 4-star cars, all 3, that's never happened.
What's your order, though?
I'm actually going 1M. Because
I'm not surprised.
It's visceral, it's got that light, easy handling thing that this actually, believe it or not, the M3 almost feels staid compared to the 1M.
Which
and that's
is crazy
shocking to think about.
That's crazy to say.
I really like the Boss, but it's third for me, and I have to quantify, it's a great car. I'm not a big Mustang guy. I'm not a big muscle car guy. We are now talking only personal preference.
Yeah.
I would take either of these as my car and be a
That's the
happy
thing.
boy.
I'd happily take the 1M. I'd happily drive the Boss. I'd be fine.
We have had a day where we've driven 3 fantastic cars, and our grand conclusion is, today on Everyday Driver, we like them all.
They're all great.
Fantastic.
So,
very controversial. Perfect.
What a car. I remember why I fell in love with this car. I may have to buy one.
It's so hard to not like this car.
I would own this car. The problem is BMW M3s and 1Ms exist.
Ignore every version of the Mustang being made right now with the exception of the Boss 302. And if you want a Mustang, if you like muscle cars, run. Don't walk, run to the Boss 302.
I knew BMW built great cars, and now I know they build great hot rods. What a fantastic little car.
Yeah, this is a lot more active, and for me, that's quite a bit more fun.